Hello, welcome to After the Whistle. A couple of days after the Super Bowl, post-Super Bowl show. Parade was yesterday. It was quite the parade. So we got Todd's back here. We got the dynamic duo back. Craig, he'll make a guest appearance again at some point. We don't know when, but Craig will be back at some point. I know a lot of y'all enjoyed Craig being on with some of the humor that he brought to the show. And also, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. There's NBA news happening. Lot happening NBA. There's a lot happening. NBA, the biggest soap opera on television. But first we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. And we all thought it was going to be a somewhat of an offensive game, but we got treated to a defensive game, 13-3. Patriots won it, and Super Bowl number 6.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier than seeing Tom Brady get his 6th, seeing our franchise be up with the upper echelons. Only us and the Steelers with 6 championships. But honestly, it was an overall good game. I didn't understand why a lot of people were calling it boring just because it wasn't so offensively, was offensive dominated. Yeah. But who cares? As long as you win the game, it doesn't matter how boring it is. It's all about the W.
Yeah, and this isn't the first Super Bowl that's been a defensive struggle. We just had one a couple of years ago with the Panthers and the Broncos that was a defensive struggle game. It was all about the defense. So, people care. People are never satisfied because remember, Week 11 we had the Chiefs and the Rams. It was 51-54. People like there's no defense being played. Now you got this, so they're never satisfied. But the Rams. First, I want to talk about the Rams. What were they doing? They made no type of adjustments. Zero.
The moment was too big. Once again, I felt like, honestly, we both felt like the Patriots were conditioned for this. They already know what it takes to win a championship. They're already used to the arena, the atmosphere, the whole entire experience of the Super Bowl. The Rams, this was like their first go around, so they probably were excited, had nerves. Even the coach probably had a lot of nerves just because he wasn't his typical self. Yeah,
definitely. They had more than enough opportunities to actually win this game. They had Brandon Cooks wide open, and Jared Goff let the ball hang in the air for too long. Then another one, Brandon Cooks again. That you got to catch that pass. They gave you that big contract to make plays like that, and he didn't. But you got to give the Patriots credit. Their defense played well. Their offense wasn't all that great, but when they needed to, they made the big plays. Brady made the big plays to Gronk and Edelman. Those seem to be the only two guys that were catching passes the entire game.
Definitely, but don't forget in the second half, Sony Michel. They got some big carries, some big yards to help open it up for the Pats.
Yeah, he had about 18 carries for the game, 94 yards. Almost he would have hit 6 yards away from having 3 straight 100-yard games. So it was quite the game, all-around game. I know that first pass, Brady's first pass was intercepted, but he got fooled. Yeah. He got fooled on that one. Now you look at that and he thought it was man-to-man, and the guy just dropped in the zone, so he got fooled. But besides that, all his throws weren't great, but he didn't make no other mistakes the entire game.
Brady played solid.
Yeah.
He's played like a Hall of Fame quarterback in so many other Super Bowls. God forbid he gets a chance to sit back and let Sony Michel and other guys do the work.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like they finally have a well-balanced offense, and this is what happens. He doesn't do so much work.
Just look at. If you want to see it, just look at last year's Super Bowl. He threw it for the most yards in Super Bowl history, 507 yards, and they lost, and he got criticized for that. And now this game, he's getting criticized for that, and he was. So it's like, all right, come on, what do you want?
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's how it is.
Yeah, my thing is, where was this defense last year? Where was it last year?
Maybe due to losing, fueled a lot more fire in them this year.
Yeah.
Or maybe some of the plays that might not have been so used to experience. That, it was kind of like a normal thing for them now. And Kraft was saying it was kind of like a home game, so they had the fans behind them. And like I said, you play in Atlanta, it's feeling like a home game. Obviously, you had a lot of fans rooting for you. So.
And it also helped that Hightower played in this year's Super Bowl. He didn't play last year. There was a few players that didn't play last year's Super Bowl.
Right
so that does help. So a player we should talk about, Julian Edelman, Super Bowl MVP. I personally thought a defensive player should have got the Super Bowl MVP because it was just a defensive game. The defense made a lot of plays. Stephon Gilmore or Hightower, one of those two, I think, were deserving of Super Bowl MVP. But Julian Edelman, suspended 4 games this season for PEDs, and then comes back, wins Super Bowl MVP.
I mean, we all know Edelman's he's like a fan favorite amongst New Englanders. So, you know, it's like Tom Brady and Edelman.
Yeah.
And he's came through in the playoffs. I honestly, I feel like when they do the Super Bowl MVP, yeah, they give it to the guy with the best stats, but they also take other games into consideration, like the playoff game. So he was holding him down throughout the whole playoff. So he deserves it.
But the defense that was surprised, the defense this entire playoff, they played 3 straight high-powered offenses, and for the most part, they shut all of them down, except for the second half against the Chiefs. The Chargers, they basically shut them down. The Chargers, I believe, they had one good drive. That was their first drive of the game, and then they didn't score again until the fourth quarter. The Chiefs were struggling, and then this one, the Rams, they couldn't get nothing done. So Patriots defense stepped up a whole lot. They stepped up a lot, especially how up and down they were this season and how bad they were at set points this season.
Well, I was going to say, they lose to bums, but they beat the good teams. So their focus and intensity is heightened. They pay attention more. They pay attention to detail a lot more when they play these high-powered offenses because, you know, you play against – when good teams play against great teams or good teams, they want to compete at the high level. When you play against a bad team, you might take them lightly. And that's what the Pats are probably doing a couple weeks this season. So
because I still can't forget that Detroit Lions lost that one. that one was just like, it was eye-opening. But, I mean, kudos to them. Also, let's talk about Tom Brady now. 6 rings. He doesn't look like he's slowing down or is going to retire anytime soon. He wants to play till he's 45. But, I mean, this guy, there's only so many few players in sports in general that's got 6. So him, Michael Jordan, Kareem, Robert Horry got 7. Bill Russell got all those rings. But, I mean, when we talk about greats in sports, now it's Brady and Jordan. Those are pretty much the two. And you could throw Kareem in, but Kareem, there's just something different about him. Like everybody know he's great, but you know the way you talk about Kareem is different just because there's so many other aspects of him.
Kareem's like a martyr or something who's still alive. You know what I mean? Like he does so much for society as a whole. So I totally get that. But Brady, I felt like Brady was aiming for this 6th one. I don't think he's sure about his 7th, but he was definitely aiming for this 6th one, like for a long time now.
Definitely, and that is very significant. He's the only quarterback with 6. Now he'll go down as the only quarterback with 6 Super Bowls, and I think he'll probably got like 4 MVPs, 4 Super Bowl MVPs. I think.
I'm not positive, but
I think 4. I don't know, but this pretty much puts him as undisputed GOAT in football. In football, it's like there's no other way you can say it. And you can look at, even if you look at his Super Bowl numbers, he's completed, I think he's only thrown 6 interceptions in all his Super Bowls. He's completing over 60% of his passes, around, I think 18 touchdowns. So his Super Bowl numbers are, if you compare it to some other players' playoff numbers, it blows it out the window. I
mean, he's been in so many big games. He's the man.
Yeah.
Everything speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. Undisputed GOAT. Now, Rob Gronkowski, he had a big game too. Caught some big passes, especially in that fourth quarter on that final drive. Now with him, it's tricky. Is he or is he not going to retire? He said he's going to make that decision at some point in a few weeks or so. He's going to make his decision. But if this is how he's going to go out, he went out with a bang.
Definitely. He came back. You know what I mean? He came back. He started playing well because we didn't know what Gronk was going to be last year, the year before that. So he came back full throttle, got a Super Bowl ring, made some big plays all throughout the playoffs. Yeah. And like I said, if he was going to go out, this would be the time to go out. But I would understand if he played another year because I wouldn't be surprised if he retired when Brady retired. To be honest,
I would be. Yeah, if he retired now, he would retire with over 500 catches. Excuse me. Yeah, over 500 catches. 79 touchdowns. 79 touchdowns. You know, over 7,000 receiving yards. I mean, the receiving yards, of course, Tony Gonzalez got like 10,000 and Shannon Sharp, but it'd be him, Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez as the 3 greatest tight ends the NFL has ever seen.
Yeah, definitely, because his numbers in a short amount of time. You know what I mean? If he plays as long as these guys did, his numbers would be crazy. And
then there was those years that he missed some games. He missed entire seasons a few times. So, I mean, for him to do that in a short amount of time, that just speaks to how great he was.
Definitely.
He is. So I mean, we'll find out as the season goes on. But now we got to go back to the Rams. We have to go back to the Rams offense, and we'll put these two topics together. The Rams offense and why they did not give the ball to Todd Gurley more. That's my biggest concern.
We've been saying it all year. He needs to touch the ball at least 25 to 30 times a game, especially in the Super Bowl when you know your quarterback is just not conditioned and built for that moment. He hasn't played enough games to really be ready for that moment.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard to be running back when it comes to, accuracy compared to throwing and running.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to give it to the safest bet, which is your running back.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a vendetta. The coach had a vendetta against him or something, because this was going on in the championship game too. Because if you looked at the divisional round against Dallas, he had a great game. Him and C.J. Anderson had a great game. And then the NFC Championship game, it's just like, okay, why is he on the bench? Why is he not in the game? Because we saw him running perfectly fine the last time he was on the field. He rushed over 100 yards, and now he's just standing there. Last year's Offensive Player of the Year. He's probably the best running back in the league, and he's just on the sideline. You're handicapping your team.
Man, this is almost just as worse as not giving Marshawn Lynch the ball at the goal line. In our reality, the man is legit one of the best running backs in the NFL, averaged almost two touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you give him the ball? I get it. C.J. Anderson's playing well. You know what I mean? He's doing some things that he didn't do for other teams, but it's and you might feel that Todd is more efficient because he needs less touches to get more yards than C.J., but you don't even barely give him the ball at all. And, I always say when stars like that don't get the ball or touch the field as much, there's always something behind the scenes.
Yeah,
it has to be.
It got to be. And even if he said he was fine, I believe him. If he was fine, some people say he wasn't 100%, but whatever. Even if he wasn't 100%, if he was good enough to go, because he had some runs where he took off a couple long runs, 10 to 12 yards. Even so, just have him on the field. He is a problem. He's going to be a decoy. You don't even have to give him the ball. Just have him on the field. That'll make the Patriots change their strategy. And
me as a fan watching the game, when he was on the field, I was like, oh, well, what might they do? When C.J. was on the field, I didn't worry at all.
Yeah, because we know C.J. Anderson's going to run one. He could only do one thing, run straight ahead in between the tackles. With Gurley, he can run and catch, and he's a good blocker too. So you just got to at least have him there as a decoy. Don't just have him on the sideline. And you got an offense to average 33 points a game. It helps at 3 points.
And honestly, when you said something might be going on behind the scenes, what's it McVay?
McVay, yeah.
McVay, he's young. Todd Gurley's relatively young. They're not that far in age, so there might be some type, it might be a little issue.
Yeah, well.
You never know.
They better handle that, because you can't have your best player not being effective or not being a part of the offense. Also, Jared Goff, he looked like the bright lights got to him.
Welcome to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was. he had opportunities to make some big plays, and if you watch the game, there were times where he would just throw it on his first read and wouldn't survey the field, because there were times when he got the ball out too quickly. There was no pressure on him, and he'd miss a wide open guy across the middle or down the seam. He did that a few times, and you're just like, you got to relax. But I heard they say Sean McVay was in his ear telling him where to go with the ball or whatever. Basically.
So you mean McVay was kind of puppeteering him?
Pretty much.
While he's in motion, dropping back, he's telling him where to throw it. That's gonna mess up a quarterback's mental.
I think he was doing that the last game too, in the NFC Championship game. He was telling him where to go with the ball, and so that's
that's kind of controlling.
I think it might be because of his awareness to read defenses is not that high, especially if you're gonna have the coach do that.
Yeah, and as a professional athlete and a quarterback, the franchise is trusting you to be a quality player, at least, to make quality decisions. It's kind of hard to make quality decisions when you got somebody on your conscience saying, go left, and you think you're going right. You know what I mean? It's hard to do. That's tough. And you might see one read that he can't see because he's on the sideline. He's telling you make another read. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's not even football.
Yeah, Yeah, it was interesting when I read about it. So, I mean, Jared Goff, he got a lot to improve on this offseason because I don't know what they're gonna do, but if they bring this team back, they'll have a good chance. He just has to improve on reading defenses. That's basically it. Because the Patriots, their defense didn't do anything special. They just brought a little more pressure with the blitzes, which they hardly ever do, and he couldn't handle it. So,
just a different look.
Yeah.
And the Pats are the Pats. So the Pats aren't no slouches.
Yeah, so I don't know. Jared Goff, he gotta get it together. Now Sean McVay, he after the game he said he was outcoached. He took a lot of the blame, and I mean,
I don't think there's any such thing as being outcoached by Belichick. I'm 33. I think Belichick's been coaching almost just as long as I've been alive or before. So it's like you just lost, brother. Like you lost to a guy that's just better at you at this point in his career, and at your point in your career, you will get there.
Yeah. I think it was more so because people were more shocked at the adjustments that he didn't make. Because it seemed like he never made no type of adjustment. He just stuck with his routine game plan, play action, try to go deep. But when you're not running the ball or you can't run the ball, the play action isn't going to work. It's really not going to work. So.
And that's where Todd comes into play. Because he might not get any breakout 10, 15, 20-yard carries, but them 4 or 5 yards, you know what I mean? That constant pounding is going to help set up the play action.
Yeah.
But what do we know, right?
Yeah. So it makes no sense. But, I mean, I'm sure he'll learn from this because this was his first year as a head coach in the Super Bowl. So he did some great things. So, but he just, I mean, it just was bad. It was bad. Just especially, we had all this hype about his offense and how they've been putting up points all season, and then you got humbled.
You ever notice that, like, even these teams that play great all through the regular season, they usually don't win the chip. Because there's always that one game where you're reminded that the lights are pretty bright. Yeah. And just so happens that there's at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And it's also like, did they peak too early?
Yeah.
Because we saw them at their very, very, very best around week 11. And then towards the end of the season, they just kind of slowly been, trending downwards. Then they won the playoff games. But I think we saw them at their peak around week 11.
Definitely.
So, I mean, that's one thing about teams that are explosive on offense. They could peak way too early, and then teams have enough time to figure them out.
I mean, we went undefeated in regular season and lost in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It happens.
Yeah, it happens. But I mean, overall, they had a great season. I think they'll be, depending what they do, because they had a lot of guys on one-year contracts, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So depending on what they do, they could be back there next year. So, I mean, a learning experience for them. And also, 2019 Hall of Fame inductees. We got the class of 2009. Champ Bailey, Pat Bowlen, Gil Brandt, I don't know who that is, Tony Gonzalez, Ty Law, Kevin Mowat, Ed Reed, and Johnny Robinson. Those are all the ones that actually got in? Yeah, those are going to be the 2019 Hall of Fame induction. I'm glad Ty Law got in. Isaac Bruce, though, I don't know why he's not in. Like, Isaac Bruce should be in the Hall of Fame. He has the numbers.
That's wise.
Yeah, he has the numbers. He has a Super Bowl ring. He has... I mean, was it Torrey Holt or Bruce that didn't really like taking hits too much? Both of them.
So that might be the guys on the board. They might not feel that. Like, but he's a catch and faller. So
yeah, that's one thing I like. For some reason, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's always the receivers. Receivers, it's always difficult for them to get in for whatever reason. Offensive linemen always get in on the first ballot.
Because they protect the prize.
Yeah. But I mean, for players like Isaac Bruce, I'm like, I think he should have been in by now.
Honestly, you would think skilled players would be the first ones in.
Yeah.
They bring all the money into the game. Like, I ain't never seen nobody wear a lineman jersey before. just saying.
Unless it's a family member.
True. Yeah. And I don't know anybody related to a lineman.
Yeah, me either. But yeah, so that's that. Ed Reed, that was basically.
Come on, man.
That was nothing. Tony Gonzalez too. That was also a no-brainer. I thought Champ Bailey, he was good, but I thought he would get in. He wouldn't get in this year. I thought he'd probably get in next year. But I mean, some guys that were left out. Edgerrin James was left out. Tony Baselli Steve Atwater, he was left out. John Lynch was left out. Richard Seymour, he was left out. So there was a lot of deserving players that were left out. So that's Hall of Fames are weird.
Who are you telling?
Very weird.
Some Hall of Fames barely let anybody in. Some Hall of Fames let damn near everybody in.
Basketball Hall of Fame, they
Oh
let
my God.
everybody in. Everybody
Just
gets
take
in
a number.
The
Just wait your turn.
For real. I'm still with the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm still shocked that Chris Webber didn't get in last year. Grant Hill got in before Chris Webber. That's my thing. I mean, if you're gonna let Grant Hill get in, you gotta let Chris Webber get in the same year because, I mean, granted Chris Webber played longer. He was healthy, but
Grant Hill I feel like Grant Hill had more effect on just people. You know what I mean? Grant Hill, people know Chris Webber, but people just know Grant Hill.
Yeah, and I think that whole Michigan stuff, the people.
I'm a Michigan fan. I don't talk about that.
Yeah, he's still getting blackballed from that.
I mean, that's what happens. Some people just can't let go of things.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's true. And lastly, Super Bowl favorites for next year. Super Bowl 54 favorites. I believe the Chiefs are the favorites for next year. I think they're 8-1. The Patriots, I believe, are 6-1 or so. So it's gonna be more so the same.
That's right.
It was Patriots, Chiefs, Rams.
Unless them top teams make a drastic trade or something, I don't really see much changing. I don't know how Breeze is gonna do this next year because you know him. He plays well, but his teams aren't really always that great.
Yeah.
And he had a great year this year, so.
Yeah, he did, but that was another one. They peaked way too early, and then in the playoffs, especially in the Super Bowl, in the NFC Championship game in the second half, it was kind of like, what's going on with you guys? So I don't know. Here it is. The Patriots and the Chiefs are the favorite to come. They're the two favorites for the NFC. Let's see what else we got here. The Chargers, the Bears, Pittsburgh, 14-1 favorites. The Rams, Saints, New England are 8-1. Kansas City, 6-1. And then we got some other teams: Philadelphia, Baltimore, Indy, Cleveland, Houston are 20-1. Cleveland.
Hey, they're on the rise, man.
And if the list goes on, but so far the favorites: KC, Rams, Saints, Patriots, Chargers, Chicago Bears, and Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think we'll probably see 3 of those teams back: Chiefs, Rams, and Patriots. And the 4th, it's a toss-up, so we don't know what's going to happen. So
see that.
We'll see. All right, +1 interview time. So we got this guy is antagonist to some of the Patriots. This is my man Rob Parker. A lot of people in the Boston area have been coming after him all the time because of his thoughts on the Patriots. I say his thoughts on the Patriots. So we had Rob on when we talked about the entire Super Bowl. So here's +1 with Rob Parker. Hello and
This was
welcome
today.
to another
this was
edition of +1. We got a special guest all the way from California. We got Mr. Rob Parker. How's it going?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Rob. How are you?
All right, there we go. I got you now. Everything is good. How are you?
Good, I'm good. I had to call you last time. First question, are you in Mexico?
I went to Cancun for the weekend. I'm back now.
So you was over there Super Bowl weekend. You was there for the festivities. First, before we talk about the entire playoffs, just how was that whole entire Super Bowl week festival?
Yeah, it was great. Atlanta was great. It was a little different in that I think, the Patriot fatigue is set in a little bit. It wasn't as festive or a lot of buzz, but, people who were there, Patriots fans especially, they were in full force. I saw a lot of Patriots fans there. But it's always a fun week, so it was good.
Had yourself a good time in Atlanta.
What's that?
I saw that you had yourself a good time out there.
Oh, yeah. I had a great time. I had no complaints. Atlanta treated me very well.
Let's talk about the game. First, before we talk about the pace, let's talk about the Rams and what they didn't do for the game, because they didn't. Todd Gurley, their best player, it seems like they didn't utilize him at all in the NFC Championship game. or in the Super Bowl. Is there any explanation for that? Because people say he might be hurt, but he looked fine to me.
Well, he says that he's not hurt, and so did the coach, Sean McVay. So I don't know. I mean, it just seems very weird. He looked great against Dallas, if you remember. Both of their running backs rushed for over 100 yards. They almost rushed for 300 total yards against the Cowboys. It was unbelievable. And then the last two games, it just didn't look the same. And when you think that the Rams are 9-0 when he rushes the ball at least 18 times, and that he would only get a minuscule amount of carries, it doesn't make any sense when you have success winning when he runs the football. So I don't get it. I don't know what game plan they were talking about or what game plan they used where they couldn't figure out a way to use Todd Gurley other than give him the ball and hope that he can break one. So it was very weird to me. I do not know. Because he hasn't played that well, people think he's hurt, but I'm going to take the man at his word. He says he's not hurt, so I don't get it. I really don't. That was weird.
And early when I spoke to you back around week 2 when we talked about the Patriots and how if you're going to beat them, you have to beat them because they're not going to beat themselves. And the Rams, they had opportunities to actually win this game. The play, Brandon Cooks, Jason McCourty made a great play on the ball, but the ball hung in the air for a while, and Brandon Cooks just didn't come up with it. And Brandon Cooks, once again, down the seam, he got to catch that ball. You have to catch that ball. They pay you the big bucks. You have to catch that ball. So those are the type of plays that changes games.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that's a play that should be made. And the other one was really on the quarterback in that it was a little too late to allow the defensive player to make a play on that ball. If he would have acted immediately and thrown the football, that's a touchdown there. But Jared Goff was off. He didn't play well either. So the Rams, the amazing thing, you got to tip your cap to Bill Belichick and what they did defensively. Because when you have a team that's averaging 33 points a game, one of the 10 best offensive teams in the history of the NFL, that's how good they are. That they get 3 points and they needed a 53-yard field goal even to get on the scoreboard tells you that they just were out of sorts, and Bill Belichick did a number on them defensively.
Yeah, were you at all surprised at how great the Patriots defense played? Because this postseason, their defense did play well, but the majority of the time, besides the second half against Kansas City, I would say their defense played extremely well the entire postseason.
Yeah, no, they did in the postseason. It's amazing. I think they were in the middle of the pack, like 16th in the league. They weren't that good. We saw a lot of bad nights against that defense too. But in the postseason, other than that Kansas City game, I agree with you. I mean, they demolished San Diego, which to me had a better roster and had been playing well and had won big games on the road. The Chargers won in Pittsburgh. They won in Kansas City. So they had won games on the road, against teams, and they couldn't do anything against the defense. And then, obviously, the Rams couldn't do anything either. So when I look at this championship, it's definitely defense was number one about. It was about the defense.
Now you have said the reign of terror was going to be over. I know a lot of Pats Nation have been on you for your criticism of Tom Brady, your criticism of the Patriots. How hard have they been coming at you these past couple of days?
You know what? I'll tell you, not as hard as I think. I think it was a little tempered only from this standpoint. Yes, the Patriots won their 6th championship and all that, and congratulations. But I think because Brady didn't play well, it's a little tempered. You know what I mean? Had he been the MVP and had he played well, I think it would have been a real firestorm. I think it's hard for you to kind of go hard because most of my conversation is about Brady and him aging, and he looked like a 41-year-old quarterback in the Super Bowl. He wasn't really special. His first pass was an interception, fumbled. And here's the other kicker, that he, despite the drive to set up the game-winning touchdown, basically, Tom Brady, they didn't vote him MVP, despite him making some really big throws in that stretch. That's because the first 3 quarters were so bad. I don't think that they could justify giving Tom Brady the MVP when he didn't throw one touchdown, he had a pick, and he had a fumble. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think that. I mean, Julian Edelman got the MVP, but I think it should have went to a defensive player. I don't think an offensive player was worthy enough this game to get an MVP.
I agree, and what's crazy is I saw on the NFL Network today that they said not one defensive player got a vote for MVP. So how about that? That's unusual. I can't even believe that. This is probably a time when their whole defense probably should have gotten the award, and they split it.
Definitely, just throughout the league too. Even league MVPs. When was the last time a defensive player won it? Was it Lawrence Taylor? I mean, it's been quarterbacks the past 5-6 years. I think Adrian Peterson was the last non-quarterback to win an MVP.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of I don't know why they want to give defensive play. If a guy makes a big play in a big situation, why can't he get MVP? And you give it to a wide receiver. I get it. Edelman had 141 yards, but no touchdowns. Kind of weird that guy would get an MVP, especially when you didn't score. It's just weird.
And lastly, we got about a minute left. What do you think of this year's Patriots Super Bowl? What significance is it just this year in particular, as separate from all the other Super Bowls?
Well, just that team, when you looked at it on paper, during the regular season, they lost 5 road games to non-playoff teams. There were a lot. They got killed by Jacksonville. When you start looking back, that team most of the season was not even in anybody's consciousness about winning the Super Bowl. So for them to rally from where they were and be able to knock off the teams that they were able to do, and then to almost shut out the high-powered Rams and win a Super Bowl, I think is remarkable, to be honest, because I think most people had written them off, including yours truly.
All right, Rob. Thanks once again for calling. We can safely say you're not in Mexico. You're not hiding in Mexico. Will the reign of terror continue?
The reign of terror will end eventually, and hopefully it'll be next year.
All right, Rob. I'll see you soon. I'll be in California next month, so I'll see you soon.
Yes. Hit me up when you get here. All right. Appreciate it.
You have a great one.
You too.
You guys been watching Plus One. We out of here. All right. Once again, thanks, Rob, Mr. Anti-Patriots. He said if they won the AFC Championship game, he'd move to Mexico. So he's not in Mexico, but he's like a couple hours away. Los Angeles is close enough. Los Angeles is pretty much Mexico extended. So thanks, Rob. All right, NBA talk. This one. So last week after we ended the show, I swear everything always happens after we end the show. The breaking news: the Knicks traded Kristaps Porzingis for DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., I believe in some draft picks or whatever. But I was like, okay. That was my reaction. I was like, okay, New York, what? I don't know. I don't know how much better y'all got, but I think they're trying to free up cap space because they have around $78 million in cap space for the summer to get at least 2 max players. So I don't know who's gonna go out their way to go play in New York, especially with the owner that's James Dolan, that apparently one of the worst owners in the league.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I mean, they kind of run the Knicks organization to the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought they was, I thought Porzingis was their future for a little bit. And he got injured, and then they just changed their mind or something.
No, I think Porzingis realized that these guys don't care about winning, or they're not doing what it takes to be a contender or a top team in the league. I think he just, because he's sitting down, so he's watching everything. He's seeing what everything's going on. And I think he's just like, I don't want to be a loser.
Yeah, I just said that because I didn't really hear much about him speaking on, like, wanting to leave or play for another team or anything, or in regards to free agency. But I did hear that him and the Knicks weren't seeing eye to eye with certain things. So you know how it is. When you have a voice and you have a brain, the Knicks usually don't like that.
And I think his brother is his agent too. So I think they both kind of his brother is.
I mean, when your agent's your brother, he actually cares for you. He's not just a client, it's your relative. So they're definitely looking out for the best interest for Porzingis, man.
I mean, the Knicks, good luck. I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out, but y'all better land 2 free agents because if y'all don't, you're just going to be terrible. But for the Mavericks, now they got 2 young stars, 2 unique young stars, too, in Luka and Kristaps. And I think they could build. They got something right there.
Nah,
inside, outside.
Definitely. I seen a little article called like the European Connection or something. Where they had Dirk in the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have something because Luka's already a pro. He's been a pro for some years now. He's just now on the NBA stage, and Porzingis he has all types of skills. They call him the unicorn for a reason. So they
and
definitely
he plays defense.
Yeah, and two European guys. They could probably help each other understand certain things about the NBA that the other guys can't really. Because you know how it is. It's kind of like us being from the same city. We were somewhere else. We help each other understand some things that others couldn't. So, it's definitely a nice look for Dallas. Just, breath of fresh air, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think, it's going to be depending on who they surround them with because you definitely can build something around those two. So they have to surround them with pieces that, that will complement them very well. Also, in other NBA news, the Sixers traded Wilson Chandler, Shamit, I think that's his name, and I can't pronounce this other guy's name. He's Euro. They traded them to the Clippers, and they got Tobias Harris and Boban, a draft pick. The Sixers are, Elton Brand, he's been making moves to improve the team. I think Tobias Harris is a solid pickup for that team.
You know me, I like Tobias Harris when he got traded to the Clippers for the Blake Griffin deal because I felt like they didn't lose much. And Tobias, he just puts the ball in the hole. He's not flashy. He just almost averages 20 a year.
Yeah.
So it's a good pickup for me, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's definitely a good pickup. And also, especially when you got a guy like Ben Simmons who's a willing passer. We know he doesn't want to shoot the ball. He's going to take it to the rim, and he's going to get the guys involved. And now you got Tobias Harris who could knock down outside shots. You got Jimmy Butler who could knock down outside shots or take it to the hoop. So you got enough guys that can do something.
And Tobias Harris is he's like a big wing, so he could play multiple positions as well, which will also allow Jimmy Butler to switch up some positions as well. Because Tobias Harris like a 3-4.
Yeah.
And Butler's like a 2-3, so you know what I mean. They're all interchangeable to be honest, because Ben Simmons is like 6'10" point guard, so it's like they really don't have real positions out there anymore. Yeah,
and this is kind of like the Sixers saying this: we're going for that championship this year. We're trying to get to the championship this year, and they've positioned themselves because the Celtics have been playing better basketball. They've been playing better basketball lately, and the Bucks are still at the #1 spot in the East, but they're not. Sixers aren't that far out. They're four or five games back of them at 35-19. The Bucks are 39-13. So the Sixers can make a push. The Celtics 35-19. So there's a chance for all these teams to make a push in the East. So
we still have the All-Star break after that. So
which is next week. Mm-hmm. All right. So did I talk about the Lakers first or no?
No, we didn't talk about the Lakers at all.
So we're gonna talk about the Lakers. So the Lakers they traded for Reggie Bullock. They got him a knockdown shooter. The Anthony Davis trade, they say talks have completely been shut off, have completely been closed. The Lakers offered Rondo, Kuzma, Ball, and a couple picks to the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans said they want 4 first-round picks for Anthony Davis
and those guys?
And some players. Yeah, so the Lakers, I think this is good. The Lakers should not trade the whole house because you'll have another Carmelo New York situation when they traded the whole house for Carmelo in.
True, and it's like who you gonna have? Like who you gonna pick up? Because like when you talk about picking up guards in free agency and guys that are just quality guys, Rondo's the guy that's always in conversation. So if you trade him away, who you gonna be able to pick up that's a solid point guard?
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make sense. And I like Kuzma. Kuzma's probably one of my favorite ones out the young guys because he just puts it in the bucket.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't want to trade away all your future talent for AD. Granted, ADs are like once in a lifetime type player, but how well is he going to fit and how well the pieces you're going to surround him and LeBron are going to fit together.
Yeah, so it makes an interesting time because the Lakers are trying to get a move. I don't know if you saw the game last night. They got blown out by the Sixers, and then you saw LeBron on the bench, 2 empty seats, and then there's the rest of the teammates. So nothing looks good right now for the Lakers because that just didn't look well how he was kind of sitting away from the teammates. But that's also LeBron just LeBron's a diva himself. He likes to stir up things, and because he knows they're gonna ask him about that, and then he's gonna do his little blah 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 blah. But it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look.
My whole thing is, as a professional, when you get paid to play the game, and they're talking about trading you and all that, the best thing you could do is kill or play hard or put one of your best games out there, so more teams are willing to look at you, to give you these opportunities and contracts. Like you don't shut it down and get smacked by 40. As a man, who wants to get smacked by 40 on TV?
Yeah.
Like, look in the mirror, please.
Yeah, so that was bad.
That's crazy.
We'll see what the Lakers do. The trade deadline's tomorrow, so we'll see what happens with them. Other NBA news. This one, John Wall. Did you hear this one?
Yeah, man. This morning.
Achilles injury. He's out for a year. No basketball activities for a year. He allegedly slipped and fell in his house. That's what he said happened. We don't know what happened. We'll get the truth at some point. But goodness gracious.
Man, I feel bad for the man. Like, granted, they all have injuries in the NBA, and they got to bounce back from things, but it's like, it just looks bad for him because it talks about him always going out and things like that. Then he has a knee injury, so you're thinking, all right, he'll chill out, and then he ruptures his Achilles, slipping. It's like, bro, just sit down.
Yeah.
It's like, granted, it actually might have happened in your house, but it's like when you have so many other stories about you doing other stuff other than playing basketball, people probably don't believe you.
Yeah, and we've seen this we've seen this before as well. So when they say they slipped or did something, and it turns out they were doing something extreme, and it's like, hopefully this isn't the case. But the Wizards got him locked down for the next couple of years, and he's making. Next year he's due about $39 million. The year after he's due about $40 million, and then the year after he's due about $40 million. So they're screwed. They screwed. They have to. They got to get. If I'm Bradley Beal, I'm demanding a trade by tomorrow because they're not going to be a contender anytime soon.
I mean, probably not. I don't know who they're going to get to fill his shoes, but these guys got to realize their bodies are investments, man. Like, they got to understand these things. Like, they can't move day to day like a regular human being would. You just have to think smarter, think better.
Yeah.
Not saying he didn't slip on the floor and it actually might have happened at home. We're just saying in general, guys got to just do better with their bodies.
Do better. And lastly, at the NBA, some All-Star reserves were named. There was some first-time All-Stars. So Nikola Vucevic, first-time All-Star. D'Angelo Russell, first-time All-Star. Ben Simmons, first-time All-Star. I mean, Chris Middleton was on Kyle Lowry, Blake Griffin, Bradley Beal's on the All-Star team. Kemba Walker, of course, we know. Dwayne Wade was added for some special thing, just because this is his last year. Him and Dirk were added as well. Also in the West, Russell Westbrook, Karl Anthony Towns, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard. Nikola Jokic, who I think should be a starter, and he's potentially the MVP. That guy's been balling. But I would say do you think Andrew Wiggins is a bust?
What year is he in?
This is his fourth year.
Fourth year.
Hasn't made an All-Star team. Hasn't made no All-NBA teams.
Where did he get drafted? I mean,
number one.
Number one draft pick?
Yeah.
I mean, you number one draft pick. I don't like calling people busts, but to the caliber that you get picked, you probably have to put him in that category just because he hasn't. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is a better player for the team than he is, and you would think that he'd at least be the best player on the Timberwolves. Yeah. So you'd have to call him that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying because you can't. I mean, 4 years, at least make an All-NBA team or something, but he hasn't done that. And D'Angelo Russell, who was in the same draft class, he's made an All-Star team before.
I always liked D'Angelo Russell better than Wiggins personally.
Yeah, so
I just didn't like some of his antics.
Yeah, I mean, snitches get stitches.
Facts.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all NBA news. Athletes Corner, we had Jalen Echevarria, the senior from St. Mary's, was talking about his 1,000-point season. They're like 15-1 or so, poised to make a state championship run. So we talked to him about what's been going on with St. Mary's basketball. We're going to toss it to Athletes Corner and then come back and wrap up the show. Welcome to Athletes Corner, another edition. We got St. Mary's senior Jalen Echevarria here. They're having a great season so far. He just accomplished scoring 1,000 career points. So we're gonna talk about that. Talk a little about the season. What's going on, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Chilling, man. How are you?
I'm good.
All right. First, let's talk about the other night. You guys had a tough loss. It's a 2-point loss. New Bedford. You guys been playing a lot of tough non-conference opponents. What happened in this game?
I felt like we came out sluggish. We didn't play like we usually play. Everything was just bad. I mean, we weren't knocking down as many shots as we make. Our defense was sloppy, letting people go by us. It was overall a bad game, but that game's gonna humble us now. We know we're not we know we're not all that, and that anybody can beat us.
Yeah.
So it made us humble.
Yeah, you guys definitely you guys were on a roll. 15 in a row.
Yeah.
Start off 15-0. Had the Slades BBC Classic on MLK Day. What was that like, just playing the Cathedral? I know you guys played there during the regular season, but
it was really fun. A lot of people came out from Boston. We played a Boston team, Burke. We beat them, but overall it was pretty fun to play there.
Yeah, now talk about earlier this season when, first game of the season you scored your 1,000 point. How was it just to get that out the way? Because when it's on the verge, people are gonna keep talking about it, and then it gets annoying at some point. So you just want to get out the way. How much more relaxed were you once you got that out the way?
It was very relaxing. Getting it right away, not like mid-season or something. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure off your shoulders. So now you're not just thinking about scoring. You're thinking about the whole team and passing and everything. But it was good for me to get that off my chest early.
I can't even think who was the last St. Mary's players to reach the 1,000 point.
It was a senior guard this year. She's a girl, Pamela Gonzalez.
They're her teammate as well. One of her teammates as well.
Olivia Nazir too.
I'm talking about how about for males? Who's
the last one, Dennis Baylor, my 8th grade year.
Okay. So there's a legacy going on there. But also, let's talk about this season overall. So you guys undefeated in your conference right now. It's getting to that stretch. The state tournament's coming up. So what are you guys doing to improve and get ready for the state tournament?
Practices are definitely getting harder. We're doing a lot more running, staying conditioned, because we know on the road, road games are going to be tough. We might be playing on big courts, and we're not really used to playing on big courts because of our conference. They have small courts, so we've been doing a lot of running. Coach has been focusing on defense. We're ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, talk about your front court, because you guys have probably the best front court in the city. You guys got a couple guys. 3 guys that's over 6'6". Talk about the problems they present to the other team, because I know during the city tournament they gave some of the team's problems.
Our big men are phenomenal. I mean, Dimine Badmus, who came over from English, he's doing an amazing job in the paint. He's averaging a double-double right now. Joey Abe-Walsh, he's our 3-point specialist.
Yep.
He's shooting the ball really good right now. And our glass cleaner, Chib Onawagu, he's doing really good, getting a lot of rebounds. He just came back from Nigeria, so he's been a little sluggish. He hasn't played ball in a long time, but his game's coming back to him.
Yeah, now some of the younger guys are getting minutes too. They've been getting minutes in some of the games that you guys didn't have to play in the second half or play that much in the second half. But how important is it going to be for those younger guys, because they might get called upon during the state tournament because maybe someone's in foul trouble, or just give somebody a little break?
It's going to be very important for them to step up. Like Coach says, when you're a freshman and then when playoff comes, you're not a freshman no more. So, you already got the season out of the way. Playoffs is very different. It's a new season. So, you can't be scared once you get called in the game. It's going to be a big crowd. Everyone's going to be screaming, but you can't be scared because, you got to do your thing.
Yeah, definitely. How hard is it? I won't say how hard is it. How interesting is it to play for your uncle? How that relationship? How's it? Because it's family, and then
it's good and bad. I probably get the worst because we're family.
Yeah.
So it's good because I get to learn from one of the best in the city. I mean, he went to St. Mary's, so I get to learn from his game and stuff and what he did. But definitely the yelling, it gets annoying. It does, but I know that he loves me and he cares for me. That's why he does it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I don't talk a little about, this is your last year. Have you started thinking about your future yet, or what's going next, or it's just you're still focused on the present right now?
Well, I'm focused on the present, but I got college in mind still. I got colleges coming to my games and stuff. It's really tough. I mean, it's hard to pick one school when a lot of schools are interested in it. But I haven't made my decision yet.
Is that something you talk to your family about? Or just here and there you talk about it, and then as once the season's over, you'll talk more to them
Yeah,
about
definitely.
that.
Once the season's over, we'll definitely get into more college stuff. But like right now, we're focused on my last season.
Yeah. Now, talk about the legacy of you guys, your family. You guys got a basketball legacy and stuff like that. I think your brother just became like one of the all-time something in NCAA
Yeah.
Division I, II. I think he just, I forget what it was, but it was quite the accomplishment. How is it just watching him do all that on the next level?
I mean, watching him, it's amazing to watch what he does. I mean, he just became the all-time leading scorer for his college and for threes. It's just amazing what he does and what he's accomplished. I mean, freshman year, we didn't know if he was going to start or, like, be a factor. But one of the players got hurt, and he heard his name, and ever since that, he hasn't let down. He's always been pushing to the best of his ability, and that's why he's one of the greatest in college right now.
Yeah, that's definitely big for him to do that. Now, did your dad ever talk to you about his state tournament run?
Oh yeah, all the time. He always brags about it. He's always bragging about it. How he got 2 and I got 1.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you haven't been. You had a chance to get a couple, but
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. But you've been to more. Have you been to more state title?
Yeah, I've been
games,
to
right?
more.
Oh, okay, so you got him on that one. Now you guys got Arlington coming up this Friday. So what's that going to be like?
It should be a W, definitely. We're just looking for the team to come back with the same energy since the beginning of the season. We began sloppy. Can't be doing that since playoffs are approaching and stuff and seedings and all that. You know, we want to get the top seed. But yeah, we're definitely going into this game with a mindset of getting this dub.
Yeah, now last year when you guys made the tournament, you guys didn't get a home game. Am I correct?
Yeah, they said we couldn't get a home game because Chib, who transferred from Peabody, they ended up signing his waiver. So like the MIAA was like, guys you have to play all your playoff games on the road.
That sounds like something that was just made up. They made a made up rule. Because it don't make sense for a team that's probably with the best record to not have a home game.
Yeah, it was stupid.
well, definitely this year that won't be happening.
Yeah.
So, and lastly, just before we get out of here, what's been the highlights for you this season? What's been some of the things that you've been really impressed with yourself and also with your teammates this season?
Definitely this year, the team bonding. I feel like we're closer as a team, as a family. Last year, we had our little ups and downs during practice and stuff, but this year, we definitely know that we could go all the way and be part of something special. So that's why we keep in our mind that like we can't be getting down on each other. We got to keep going. But yeah, definitely the team bonding. And for me, I feel like I became a better overall player, like with like passing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know last year I used to take a lot of shots, like unnecessary. But this year I definitely get my team involved because we have a stacked team, so like, can't be doing it by myself.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely that.
Yeah, I know. Definitely when you got a veteran team, it's how many you guys got? Like 4 seniors or?
No, we only have 2.
2?
Me and Chib.
Yeah, Chib.
So,
Joey's
yeah,
Joey's
a junior. We have a young team.
I thought he was a senior.
Yeah, we have a young team.
All right, so man, that's great. So, congratulations once again on scoring 1,000 points. Congratulations
thank you.
Going forward with the state tournament coming up in March, at some point in March. So definitely check them out. If you guys have a chance, go check out a St. Mary's game. Just check out all the teams in Lynn. But if you get a chance, check them all out. They play great basketball. So make sure you check it out. So, any last words before we get out of here?
Just want to say thank you to the Lynn community and come watch a game.
Yeah, go watch a game. I've been to a few. So we out of here. Athletes Corner. We'll toss it back. All right. Thank you, Jalen, for that. Athletes Corner. Make sure y'all check out St. Mary's basketball. All the teams. Check out all the Lynn High School basketball teams there. You know, a few of them clinched the playoffs. The state tournament. So a few of them are on the verge of clinching. So check them out. Lastly, before we get up out of here, this situation at Florida State with Deandre Francois, he just got dismissed from the team the other day and over some domestic dispute, some domestic issues with a girlfriend that, I don't know, this whole situation is a little crazy. I read up on it some, and it says this isn't the first time that there's been an issue with him and her, and it's said that she lied about what happened. You know, this is the first time she's lied about it, and it said she did this because he wasn't giving her attention or paying any attention to her or something like this was what I was reading. So.
Oh man, I mean, I didn't get that in depth. I wish I would have read your article, but I read something simple. It was just like on some like they dismissed the man from the team, but something happened a year and a month ago in January 2018 about some video that just resurfaced Saturday.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me it took 360-something days for a video to surface? Like, that's a little ridiculous. And he called the police on her when the situation was happening.
Yeah.
And then he gets this, like, it just doesn't add up. And then you said, like, she's caught lying about it. And it's like, when that situation happened, he called the police, the stories were too crazy that they couldn't even have a probable cause to arrest him.
Yeah.
So she can't even keep her story straight to get this man arrested. Like, I don't understand why you feel the need to dismiss it, but I get it because you got to make sure you just can't have that attention and energy around your team whatsoever.
Especially after that whole Jameis Winston stuff.
Yeah, we live in a world where just putting a fingernail on any woman is just unacceptable, because I agree it's unacceptable, but at least treat the man like he's innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Stop treating people like they're guilty before they're innocent.
Yeah.
Before they're treated innocent.
Yeah. So now he's not playing college football. I don't know if another school will pick him up, or hopefully somebody does. But I mean, this just seems like two people that should not have been together at all. That should have went their separate ways a long time ago. So I mean, sad situation, but and crazy too. But I mean, hey, that's
Hopefully they both figure life out.
Yeah. Hopefully they do. They're too young. All right. We gonna get out of here. LynnTV.org. Go to the website. Facebook, Lynn Community Television. Make sure you check it out. Movie night here Monday. Make sure you come when Harry met Sally. I forget the name. I don't know. We're out of here. We'll talk to you guys next week. We got a Valentine's special next week. Me and Todd are gonna give everybody Valentine's Day tips. Our top 10 tips.
All right.